World Milk Day. Very happy World Milk Day. And this we are celebrating since 2001, as all of you know. And we now know the significance of milk and dairy on this earth, not only for nutrition or for your health, but also for sustainability. And now we are concerned about making it carbon neutral as soon as possible, as well as educating the society about the goodness of milk, because we find that there are many other lobbies which are playing significant role. So on this day, it becomes our duty to promote milk and dairy products throughout the world. Our director, Dr. Umakant Das, was supposed to give the welcome address, but he was required to go to Delhi for the emergency meeting. And he has conveyed his best wishes for World Milk Day to all of you, and also give a welcome on behalf of IRMA to all of you. So it's my pleasure to welcome the Director General of International Dairy Federation, Ms. Caroline among us. Also, the Managing Director of Amul, Dr. R.S. Sodhi. Our today's speaker, Dr. Rakesh Mohan Joshi, who is the Director of Indian Institute of Plantation Management at Bangalore. Among the groups, we have got several government officials from the Department of Animal Husbandry and Fisheries. Also the professionals from dairy industry. I see a big group from Gaya Dairy, Gaya, Bihar. Also see MD of Vidya Dairy, Deepak Shah, Principal of Dairy Science College, Janak Upadhyay, the MD Office of Amul Dairy, and many others are there on YouTube, which is now being live streamed. So I welcome all of you to this very, very pious day for the healthy society and for wealthy milk producers of our country. Without wasting much of your time, I will now give floor to Caroline to give her introductory remarks. And I especially thank Caroline for accepting our invitation to join this program, even though it was a late invitation and that is very early for her 6 a.m. in the morning. So as all of you know, Caroline is the Director General of International Dairy Federation since 2018. She is basically from Canada, and she has more than 25 years of experience in the dairy industry, and that is why she is the most appropriate person on this important post. And we are all eager in India to welcome her in her own event in September in New Delhi. So welcome, Caroline, and the floor is yours to give your introductory remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So namaste, everybody. It is a real pleasure to be with you today. Thank you for the invitation. Even at the last minute, it's always a pleasure to join you. And it is an important day. You know, the World Milk Day, for us who knows the dairy sector and can appreciate its significance and its importance, it's maybe a bit less of significant, but it is our opportunity to actually share with the rest of the world, the rest of the public that actually consume dairy product, but maybe don't think about the whole process that comes behind it, the farmers that are working very hard, the people involved in the processing, the transportation of milk, the testing, the veterinarian. It is a whole series of actors that are involved in producing milk with quality, safety, nutritious value, and sustainability. So we take that day once a year on June 1st, so we can actually flood the social media around the world about this celebration. It started 3 days ago, so we tried to start a couple of days in advance so that we can carry our messages. And that's what we're doing this year. So it is a pleasure to be with you. As you just mentioned, milk and dairy food are part of nutrition and livelihood in every country. But it is fair to say that India is definitely a great example and source of inspiration on how dairy has served as an engine for development and an engine for growth in the children as well with the school milk programs. I had the pleasure to meet some of you actually in India recently while I was doing a promotion tour for the IDF World Dairy Summit that will happen in September in New Delhi. And I can tell you that the organization of the event is moving full speed, and we're actively promoting the event around the world to ensure we have great participation. And the summit will be another event, another opportunity to celebrate the community of actors involved in the dairy sector, an opportunity to learn for each other and to celebrate the dedication, the passion of our dairy farmers around the world, as well as all the actors of the value chain. So we're really looking forward to your participation and to bring as many foreigners as possible. I can promise you that on every event I'm speaking in the last few weeks, there's always a slide to talk about the summit. So we have an opportunity after 2 years without a summit to be in India and share our knowledge, but also build those relationships that are so important in our sector. The theme of the global campaign this year for the World Milk Day is related to climate action. And you just mentioned it, Professor Parajati, at the beginning of your introduction, the importance of sustainability and the importance of action on climate. We know that dairy sector has been dynamic for years, and we're sharing those stories. And at IDF, we're doing a lot of materials to try to convey all the good program and activities that are done around the world. But we still need to continue that exercise. And the theme of this year, to talk about the climate action, is an opportunity to continue sharing our good story. And I saw it firsthand when I was in India recently, where I visited a biodigester women's group using manure to produce energy. I've seen as well solar panel that are developing in India. So we need to share that so people see that we are committed, but more than that, we're also acting on how we can reduce our impact on the climate and continue to produce meat in a sustainable manner. It is very important that we continue that communication. And it is important as well for our government and decision maker to see and to have all those examples so that they continue to say that livestock dairy are key to the development of our country, are key to the nutrition of our people, and are also key as a role to play in protecting of the planet, the biodiversity, dairy, and that's something I repeat all the time. I'm sure you heard me say that, but producing milk is the ultimate recycling process. We're having an animal eating grass, actually it's 86% of the food consumed by cows that actually could not be consumed by humans. And the cows is transforming that into a highly nutritious product. It is a pure miracle of recycling, and we need to celebrate that. It's been done for thousands of years and will continue to be done for thousands of years because it is a product that is necessary in the diet and very useful in every stage of life. And I think that's something that needs to be celebrated. So I'm sorry I won't be able to stay with you for the whole program today. I do have other activities to continue my day, but I wanted to, at least on the behalf of the IDF community, wish you a great World Milk Day. And I can promise you we'll see each other in September, and I look forward to it. So thank you for the opportunity and have a great event.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you very much, Caroline, for highlighting the important issues against in front of the dairy industry and a concern for all of us that what care we should take and how do we go ahead for the future. Your brief remarks are of high significance for all of us, and we as India are eager to welcome all of you in September 2022. With these remarks, I would like now to invite Professor Rakesh Mohan Joshi, who is basically a dairy graduate, but then he specialized himself into international marketing. And he was with the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade for several years. Lastly, he was dean of that institute, and recently he has joined as the director of Indian Institute of Plantation Management in Bangalore. But he's from heart a dairyman, and he has a good role to play in the marketing of milk and dairy products, and he has helped us in several other past events which are of very significance to the dairy and especially to India. He is known by his several books which he has published by his students who are in very, very important posts in the country and abroad. And we also feel proud that he is also one of our alumnus from where we have graduated, SMC College of Dairy Science in Anand. And looking to his expertise and experience in this field, we thought it is appropriate that we can invite Professor Joshi to deliberate on especially the dairy sector in the Indian context. And that is why we have chosen the topic of the challenges and opportunities for Indian dairy industry for this year. So I welcome Professor Joshi and thank him for accepting our invitation and give a special lecture on this area on this World Milk Day. Thank you, Professor Joshi, and the floor is yours now. Welcome.
Thank you, Professor Prajapati, and I'm highly grateful to Caroline for being with us this wonderful day. We eagerly look forward to see you in September, and by the time anyway, let's work on that. My two aspects of extremely importance is that I will start with the presentation. But I would like to tell you one thing: the Indian dairy industry, despite being the largest milk producer, India in the world with 23%, 210 million metric tons of milk, India is totally also isolated in the international markets. Indian dairy industry with 0.36% share, Indian dairy industry is not globally integrated. So I think the time has come that Indian dairy industry to benchmark with the global standards in terms of production, in terms of quality, and also in terms of the market. So we should be able to market our products into the international markets. Another thing I think I would like to tell you is that India need to be very competitive in the market. So I think we have carried out a lot of exercises for competitiveness of the Indian products, the skim milk powder, whole milk powder, all sorts of those things. So I think the milk also, if you see, we need to have a price competitiveness, and price competitiveness at the same time is the sustainability, which is, I think, the key theme now is the sustainability in terms of the production. So increasing production in terms of the sustainability of the dairy industry, so that the dairy industry, as Caroline has very rightly said, is contribute to this planet. Now, I think very briefly, I'll just go through the presentation. Probably, we all associated with the dairy industry are, highly fortunate to have. Now, I think I'm sharing my screen. So I would like to make a brief presentation, which I think now the topic given to me today was, the opportunities and challenges for the Indian dairy industry. So this was extremely important. So, let's see what are the opportunities. All of us know that I think we always talk of that, India is the largest milk producer. How the market scenario in the dairy market and in the international market is likely to be, in terms of the other products and all that. And let's see that, how we go. Now, if you see the whole system, we'll find that just a minute. We'll find that in time to come, this is the next projection for the next decade. If you see the increase in production in the whole world is the growth in terms of the cereal production is going to decline. In terms of meat production is going to decline. In terms of fish production is also going to decline. but dairy is one which is likely to maintain probably almost the growth of that I think we have maintained, and more of the growth is likely to come by way of the per capita demand rather than the growth in terms of the population growth. And therefore people are becoming more health conscious, and those who are getting more health conscious, the demand of dairying being driven, say two source of the basically the source for animal protein, for the dependence of the global customer for animal protein, the demand for meat and fish is going to be much lower than the demand for the dairy, for the uh, uh, for animal protein, and overall the demand is so fastest growing demand. Then it comes to, if you talk of the milk production, India is already the largest milk producer today. And, if you see that with 210, million metric ton of milk in India is almost double the milk that the United States of America produce, and very significantly higher than the European Union. And I think if you see the milk production in India, the milk production in other places is absolutely dwarf. The milk production in India and Pakistan accounts for almost 30-32% of the whole world's milk production. So it's a very important industry. But if you see even in the domestic marketing term, which I have not given, the 7 trillion rupees of the milk, which is 7 lakh, the 7 lakh crore rupees of the quantum of milk is much more than than the size of the other crops like rice, wheat, and all that. So milk is extremely important for Indian economy. Milk is extremely important for us as what we call as a livelihood. Almost 8 to 10 crore people, maybe on a higher side, are dependent in one way or other on the milk in this country. And if you see the share of women and the disprivileged class in milk is extremely high in India. So milk dairy industry serves as a great source for livelihood. Now, livelihood of the people who have nothing else to earn, because in India the milk production is maybe by 1 or 2 cows compared to say 200-300 cows in Europe and New Zealand and maybe other countries. So our size of that the herd is very, very small, and therefore if you say the milk is extremely significant for us for livelihood advantages. And so India is going to be the largest productivity levels. Very importantly, that I think if you see the growth in trade volume in the commodity, the post COVID and the other emerging situation, if the country can grow, countries are trying to become Atmanirbhar or self-reliant, the growth rate in trade in wheat is going to decline, maize would decline considerably. Incidentally, 55% to 60% of the world's maize production come from United States of America, and 50 to 60% of the the world market of the maize is in China. Then there are other coarse grains. Rice very marginally increased because the Middle Eastern and certain countries which cannot grow rice. The growth of soybean is going to fall. Almost oilseed is going to fall. Sugar more or less is bit likely to increase. Poultry, all the meat products going to come down. Dairy is yes. Dairy is yes, wherein the growth by volume is a bit again going to decline, but butter is going to increase. So I think more or less there. So milk is very significant. Now what happens is the dairy industry in India, despite of being so much of the big size, I'm sure that those who are associated with the dairy industry, they know that we face one problem is that of the productivity. So the productivity of the Indian cattle is very less, and that is one that where I think we need to work. So what are the biggest challenges to the dairy industry? The most important challenge in dairy industry is the price competitiveness. Now, what is happening is, we are having, the competition from several other, marketers and, several the new emerging products which may cannibalize the dairy market or bring the prices down. Now, if you see that this is, I think, what I wanted to say is people, I don't want to blame on the young generation, but I think I'm compelled to that they consume more of the soft drink than they consume the milk. In India, I am not very sure that anybody is taking milk. How many of us are taking milk morning and evening? And especially how many of us are taking milk in the day? Now, especially in Nordic countries, in Sweden, Denmark, and uh, Norway, people used to take drink with the lunch also. We don't take lunch. What is happening is, if you see, the more or less the world milk consumption has remained almost the same, but the consumption of the soft drink is growing very fast. And I'm not very sure that what are the benefits of the soft drink. But I can tell you one disadvantage of the soft drink. So one disadvantage of soft drink is, if you take, say, one glass of soft drink, one glass of Coca-Cola, you add up taking eight teaspoons of sugar. And each one of the us today now especially are worried about high calories, worried about obesity, worried about the high sugar content. But I think inadvertently, and I think it is nowhere given, even if you take one glass of milk, it's sweet, we add only 1 teaspoon of sugar. So that is another thing. Anyway, the other benefits are there, but I think if you can sell the Coca-Cola matlab thanda, so something which makes you thanda is Coca-Cola, and you feel that you are extremely blessed, then I think there seems to be the mental re-engineering done by the advertising campaigns. So I think you have and I'm sure that many of the participants in this are marketing experts who are working in corporate marketing. They know it better. Now, there are worldwide campaigns against the milk which adversely impact the international demand and prices. Now, price is a function of demand. If the demand is more, the price will go up. And today you are looking at the dairy industry. The big problem is, every day you read in the newspaper that dairies are, not able to give the right prices to the farmers. Cost of input in the farmers is increasing. And, what is happening is that, so price of milk should also increase. I'll come to the another point, but if you see the campaigns are there, I'll tell you one great campaign, and which was a great misinformation. In 1984, Time is the most coveted magazine in the world, which I think, which has a global circulation. In 1984, it published that cholesterol is bad for your health. If you take cholesterol, if you consume butter, it will increase your cholesterol. If it will increase your cholesterol, your arteries in the heart will get blocked and you will have a heart stroke and you will die. Now, how you can sell a product which says that, the cholesterol is dangerous for health? Now, the same magazine, same set of scientists in 2014 came out with a conclusion that if you eating butter is good for health. And I think we have got a battalion of scientists who will explain you why butter is good for health. Professor Prajapati is writing in in newspapers, magazines, research journals, right and left, that why we should take butter. And this is extremely important. If you see that how this the marketing campaign, but people don't call it marketing campaign. They talk it that it was a result of a scientific research. But I am completely convinced that like economics cannot be without politics. Scientific research is also not uninfluenced by politics in terms of the policy making and the marketing interests of a few firms. Now this tells you about the price. Just look at it. The price of this talks of the word butter price. Word butter price in 1981 was 4186. And when this, the 84, when you said that the butter is bad for your health, the prices fall to 1/3, 1504. And then slowly and slowly, some people started telling that, it is good until 1940, 2014, when scientific research said that the butter is good for your health. When you said butter is good for your health, then what happened? The prices, improved. and the prices improved to 5045. Now, my only question is that price of butter is in the international market. I'm giving a bit long-term perspective. So you need to have some understanding on that. Price in the market is a function of customer sentiments in the international market. Customer sentiments are influenced by the marketers. Marketers use the scientific research as a tool to market. You see that because the customer thinks that customer is very wise. Customer always think that customer is very knowledgeable, customer is very analytical, which is absolutely not the case. And to satisfy the customer's requirement to be analytical and his wisdom, the market research, the research company said in 2014 that the butter is good, and prices of the butter then increased to 5488, the 5484 from bottom, so 5 times more. Can you see the prices of butter fluctuating like price of gold? And why? Because of the market segments. If you see later, anyway, the prices came down again to 3848. Now again, if you see the prices are almost gone down, I'll tell you probably later, the prices, in the international market in real terms for most dairy products is not going to increase. That's another thing. But herein, what is something that we need to understand is that how the campaigns purely for the marketing purpose and profitability are maligning milk. And we all in the dairy sector need to work against that. Dr. Caroline is also working, and Dr. Sodhi has fought absolutely teeth and nail to the forces which talk of what we call as a veganism. Now, veganism basically tells you that milk is bad for your health. Now, this is the pamphlet I've taken from whole of Europe. They say not your milk, not your mom, not your milk. Milk is something that the vegan protagonists talk of, that you can take milk only from your mom. I'm not very sure there is no international participant here, but I can tell you that गाय तो हमारी माता है. Cow is our mother, so for us it is the milk. But this is that the post. They also say, I think these posters you find across Europe, across Europe, even America. PETA, not your mom, not your milk. So they say choose vegan. And you see the kind of the things that they say. They say that if you take the milk, you are depriving the calf for the milk. And they say that, if you are not using, the mother's milk, or you are taking the cow's milk, then you are impacting the sustainability of the planet. Dekhiye. They use even the, very, what we call is it shock advertising in advertising term. Now, shock advertising, when a customer looks at the ad, he gets distracted. He says, bitch, do I look like your mother? Then you see that milk is good for calves and bad for human. And again, the plant-based, I think in the last World Dairy Summit, our theme was, having a campaign against the plant-based, milk substitutes, what we call, something which is derived from plant is not milk at all. This we say, but not in the market. So they say it's good for call, and you fight. And then you again use the scientific, this thing that, if you take dairy product, you got infected, it has got, so much gram of the pus cells, bovine hormone, antibiotics, feces, cholesterol, calories, fat. And if you take milk, you will fall sick. And they say you get autism if you call this. This they have said, the different, the disadvantage of taking milk is depicted here. So what is extremely important is, this is the campaign part, and you see so many milk products are already, the products are already in the market. Plant-based milk substitute. They say milk is from almond is the milk. They say the oat is milk, soya is milk, everything is. Now, and with that, the kind of the campaign against milk also talk of that you take almond is the milk, but if you take, and the cashew is a milk, but if you take cow's milk, it is harmful for the cow. And I think I'm very sure that I'm not showing you, but they show you the pathetic condition in the dairies, wherein if you see in the dairies, especially the Europe and Nordic countries, again, the Holland, Germany, uh, Belgium, Switzerland, they have got strong standards for, for dairy farming, for feeding the animal. And say if you talk of, especially in the Norway and Sweden, you need to keep your cattle outside the shed, at least 6 months. 3 to 6 months you have to keep. You cannot keep the cattle chained. Every month they have got a schedule what you have to do. Otherwise, it is considered to be atrocity on the animal. So all those things, feeding, all schedule. Now we are also using technology for that. Now just look at it. Now these, now in the market, even in India, we are having a lot of plant-based milk substitutes. And I think this is absolutely not milk. And I'm very sure that under the Indian law, we don't allow them to be called milk. But I think even if the law does not allow, but the youth are getting more and more attracted. Youth are getting more and more attracted. I am not very sure that we need to there are several market studies which have talked about that how it is going to hamper the milk market in time to come. If you cannot write milk, then you say milked, almonds, you say of the milked hazelnuts, everything milked like that. So you try to use some what we call as a the spurious or a surrogate kind of an advertising for that. And therefore I think my request is that at all the dairy forums and all the dairy professionals is we should unite for this and fight it, the meanness of plant-based milk in the national and the international markets. I am very sure that I think Amul fought against it, and I'm very sure the other dairy organization in India are also. IDA is working on this, NDDB is working on this, and Professor Prajapati writes on this. Another thing which is extremely important is that we need to, the only secret of success is price competitiveness. I am sure that how many people will listen to me, but India did not sign any of the FTA agreement. RCEP we did not. Most agreement we want dairy to be excluded. And I think very sure that an official view now of the of the Department of Dairy and Animal Husbandry that keep dairy away from from the free trade agreement. Why we want to keep away from the free trade agreement? The answer is the price difference in the domestic market and the international market. The price of butter and skim milk powder in the international market is relatively much lower than the price in the domestic market. And we feel that in case these products come to our domestic market, then it would have a detrimental or a tremendous detrimental impact on the farmers. Dr. Sodhi has an obsession for for the Indian farmers. He fights for the farmers, and I highly appreciate his sentiments. At every forum, he makes effort tooth and nail to fight the entry of the foreign products in the foreign dairy products in the domestic market. And we have always opposed inclusion of dairy in the FTA agreements. To this extent, I fully agree, because I'm absolutely with the farmers and their livelihood. Now, I have another point of view in this. Just have a thought that in case you don't allow foreign products to come in the market, anyway, there is no denying the fact that the other countries also providing subsidies. The subsidies to the dairy, the whole of Europe provides it. The subsidy is being provided for the New Zealand and Australia is also there. Anyway, we have calculated the subsidy. And in the WTO, ministerial, which is going to happen again, we are fighting under the WTO forum so that for protection of the Indian agriculture and the dairy industry. For in that I'm with absolutely to fight. But I think it requires an introspection on the part of the Indian dairy industry also. Till what time you will be able to protect the Indian market? Not much long. I tell you why. I tell you why. Again, I will not mince my word. We don't want foreign products to be imported say under FTA. And tomorrow, if the government, but the decision for import and export are more than policy, and the strategic driven is sometimes the politically driven. And one thing in FTA, what we call as we carry out a cost benefit analysis. So we give concession on certain products and we get concession on certain products. Whole of European Union, UK, and even European Union, and especially the United States of America, they are looking India as an export market for their dairy and agriculture products, and we are very, very critical on that. I am giving you a very small example that we don't want the milk powder to be allowed. But I think when there was a COVID, I received a lot of messages that the government of India is allowing, import of 10,000 metric tons of skim milk powder. And I think, people were saying that we should write and we should, lobby to stop it. But I think by the time we found the 10,000 metric ton of, this powder already arrived the Indian ports. So, situations are much more complex than I think we can understand. So what I wish is that, over a period of time, you take a time of 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, but ultimately you need to say that Indian dairy become competitive internationally. We India under no circumstance will be to protect its dairy industry artificially in a long term. I can give you a very small example. We have protected oil seed. India is totally, we are, dependent on export. We import 60% of the Indian oil seed is imported of our requirement. And if you see, despite of so many oil missions, so many agriculture universities, ICR institutions, even now we are dependent on 60%. And I tell you why. Why? Two things. Number one, I think NDDB also entered into the intervention in the oil seed when I think India reached to the self-sufficiency of 80 to 90%. Somehow, the import duty on the edible oil, it was almost, 10% or 0% was done. And therefore, the farmers had no incentive to grow the oil. And today, again, our dependency is 70%. Last week, I think we again, zero duty import for edible oil. Now, when I was asked, I think for last 2 weeks, I was, on the discussing with various experts on TV on the 2-3 bans. We imported this wheat. Farmers were getting better price. We absolutely blocked the, international market for the farmer. We banned the wheat, and farmers were saying, "Sir, hamara wheat to port pe pada hua, 2 lakh tons of wheat was lying at the port," and we immediately banned. International market, it's an effort of several years. Sodhi sahab, aap unse puchiye, if Amul is in the international market, they are in the market for last 30 years. Anyway, Amul does not require international market. They have a big domestic market. But anyway, they are vigorously in the international market. You cannot, kalko ban and you say that you cannot. In America, in the generic medicines, India's share in the medicines, the generic medicines in United States is 38%. When the corona was there, India stopped, sending the medicines. And I think then I was asked to discuss. मैंने कहा यार, he is dependent on your medicine. People will die. आज आप कह रहे हो कि हम तो दवा नहीं दे सकते. And therefore everybody want to be आत्मनिर्भर. And therefore I told you the figures that in time to come, that everybody want to become आत्मनिर्भर. India become आत्मनिर्भर. We already became आत्मनिर्भर in milk. No problem. We are now exporting something. We may export more. If there is some gain in productivity, India, no country will be able to stop us in terms of, in terms of being a leader in the international market. That I think. So I'll just try talk about the price competitiveness. एक चीज आप सब समझ लीजिए, which I think I'm in this Indian Dairy Association right now, where I think we were interacting with various, all the big dairy players now. Everybody was talking of, the increase in the procurement price. You have a right to do whatever you. But kindly understand, in next 10 years, the price of all agriculture commodities, none of the agriculture commodities in terms of the real terms is going to increase till 2030. And more or less these figures would remain right. Problem is your cost of input is increasing every day. Unless you pay the price to the farmer, farmer does not have an incentive to have milk. So my only observation is, and my only suggestion to the dairy industry is, for short-term measures, you can increase the procurement price. I have no problem. You increase for 2 months, 1 month, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, but you cannot do it perpetual. It comes again that you can, the old Shakespearean saying, you can make fool all the people all the time. You can make fool some people, all the time. You can make fool all people some of the time, but you cannot make fool all the people all the time. If you are doing so, you are making fool of yourself. India need to find a sustainable strategy to be price competitive. Farmers protection is perfectly fine. And I highly appreciate the sentiment, in the dairy industry to protect the farmers' interest. But it's a time to introspect the inefficiency in the distribution system, inefficiencies in the transportation system within the dairy, value chain, and we need to identify the areas where we can reduce it. There is no doubt that what we have done. We also claim that 70% of the the customer price is paid to the farmers, but this is the situation. So anyway, I do not know, but those in the industry will tell me that how they are bracing for tomorrow to come. And you cannot plan it only and only based on the subsidy in the government, because in next 10 years the government will change, the policies will change, the focus will change, but dairy industry has to survive. Dekhiye, this is another price. It may change in the real terms, it will not, but the nominal terms it may change, except for, dekho, ye maine pura bana diya. If you see the price in nominal term for butter is going to decrease, cheese is very marginal increase, whole milk powder, no change almost. SMP will increase only to a bit, because people have started stop fat, but the SMP will increase. And you are saying, over a period of time, the price difference between the SMP and fat is, is reducing. This is now I think you have a very good prices in the dairy industry, because that's perfectly fine. But I'm not very sure that how long, the world will be able to sustain that. So what is very important in India is, number one, how to manage the surplus. थोड़ा सा सरप्लस हो जाता है, डेयरी में स्टॉक हो जाते हैं, so then we come in going to selling that, subsidizing that. So I think we need to plan the dairy surpluses like the other agriculture surpluses well in advance. Under the PL4 in 1970, when India used to import the skim milk powder and the butter oil, and that time they used to come free. Farmers had no incentive to bring milk. As soon as the farmers started getting the right price, absolutely the production increased, and India became from 20 million metric ton, we are now over 210 million metric ton of the milk. So I think India has come a far way, but I think now it's the time. And India also have a responsibility. India is also the largest milk market, that how to deal with this. So anyway, so this is seasonally now the prices have gone like historically high, but even if you see the butter prices even are lower than 16, 17 even now. So price will keep on fluctuating, but what is the strategy? Acha, ek cheez aur hai, from 2030, if you see the India, the size tells about the milk production. Our milk production is much more. China is absolutely dwarf, double that of the United States, and almost it would become 1.5 times than the whole of the European Union taken together. But only thing is, you are not only changing in the yield, but there is a change in the inventory as well. Inventory as well, the European experts, which I think we need to look into that, and we need a more scientific evidence that especially the CO2 and all sorts of the sustainability aspects are being talked of. I'm very sure that some of you must be knowing that in a place called Australia, they shooted 10,000 and 10,000 camels were killed. Why? Because because of the CO2 and the sustainability things. So India has got almost half of the cattle, half of the buffalo population, almost 1/3 of the cattle population, and if you see, and productivity is low. So I think productivity, I'm very sure that the separately we can discuss, and the breeders and the experts will tell you that, and I'm very sure that India is working very strongly on each of these aspects. I have no doubt about it. And very importantly is I think Indian market is becoming extremely fascinating because of the two reasons. Number one, India is the largest populated country on the earth, second largest on the earth, and we are very soon going to become the largest populated country, overtaking China. Anyway, India, the population is also in a stabilizing mood, 2.1, 2.3, and India, the population is stabilizing much faster than I think the economists are expecting now. In most of the states, except 2 and 3 states, the population in India has already started declining. The youngsters don't want children now. And so India is a big market. India is a much big market. So what is going to happen is, in time to come, in next 30 years, India is going to be the largest consumer of the fresh dairy products. Ab dekhiye India, dekhiye cereal, India is consumer, but I think there are other countries. Sub-Saharan Africa is a bigger consumer. Meat, India is nowhere. India, we eat meat, but the meat eating in India is very different. You take some part of the meat. We don't eat meat like the people in other countries eat. So meat, we are nowhere. Fish is yes. Fish is yes, because fish is available free of cost at the coastal area, but that also very little. But if you see, India is the biggest in the fresh dairy product, and it is going to grow up. It is going to grow up. So I think India is going to be the highest consumer in. So India is a great market. Only thing, another thing which I am not coming here is, we need to understand the market segmentation. And one segment of the market which is ready to pay a much higher price for the milk, we need to give them a better amount. Per capita availability of protein for India, it is only the milk, dairy. No other country. Most people, their biggest source is meat. For us, it is only in India and nowhere else on the earth. We are very typical, and therefore the innovation is extremely important. Now, if you see that in the export market, your share is almost nowhere, and it is going to be nowhere in next 30 years. No presence in the international market. I'll try to complete it that only 8% is transferred, but Indian demand can fluctuate prices in the international market, because our demand bahut zyada, 210 million metric ton market. 10% of the demand in the Indian market works out to 21 million metric ton, which is more than the entire export of the largest exporting country. So that I think we need to understand. India, the growth and demand is because of the income and population both. India, we consume the most production and less traded internationally. I will not, ask the entrepreneurs to export for the sake of export, but what we can export is, India can export value-added product where you are getting a, the superior price in the international market, and therefore Indian industry being more local. One thing I think this we fight at every forum, international forum, is the market protectionism. In all FTA agreement, we are finding difficult for Indian dairy products to be sold in the international markets. And I think, Dr. Sodhi has been on the several international forums. He knows well that how these negotiations are going on and what kind of the barriers that we are having. They talk about, the milk basically coming from captive dairy farm. We test the milk at the end, but under no circumstance the Indian milk products are inferior or less superior in quality than any of the international products, what we find. But I think there are a lot of barriers, and I think these trade barriers especially are the bone of contention in our free trade agreement. In case the Europe, US, and even other countries, in Russia, if you have to export, the milk, it has to again go for, from captive cows. Then, we have got another problem of the foot and mouth disease. We have a problem of the rinderpest. And as you are aware, those who are in the breeding and this, we could not eliminate rinderpest for last 60, 70 years. Even we could not eliminate tuberculosis in the cattle is another big problem. But India as a country, India is much larger than, most of the countries that form the laws. The population of India is almost 2.4 times the population of the whole of the Europe. Europe की population कितनी है? 500, 50 crore, the total population. India's population, 140 crore. We are much more. And then, if there is one or two cases, you say, the entire country is faced with the rinderpest or the foot and mouth disease, and we don't import milk. What is this? But it is something which is being happening. So two things. One, at the forum, we have to fight that we are fighting. But to the dairy industry, I think you should be more careful about it and fight all these non-tariff barriers. Anyway, we are doing a separate studies for all these, and we are working on that. Secret of success. One, I think, which I tell all the forum is that we need to promote the, the generic promotion of the dairy product to sustain the demand. The way the Amul fought the case, on the plant-based milk products, and your Verghese Kurien Center and Professor Prajapati also put up at several forums. I think he put up some videos also that these are not, the dairies can, they can have innovative promotional strategy where you can write on the label and your promotional campaign that this is the only milk and that is not the milk. Something like that. I think we need to work on this, sit together and evolve a strategy on this. We need to have innovation in the supply chain. I am not very sure that the most, the practitioners in the dairy industry would be happy to disagree with me that they are very efficient. And there is, little can be done in the supply chain and processing. But I think that it is the transportation of the milk, because the transportation of milk is extremely associated with the quality of the milk. Because if you see in the captive dairy farm, when the animal is milked and it is by the machine milking, immediately after milking, the before the milk goes to the silo, it is chilled down to 4 degrees centigrade, and then it is pasteurized and processed. So the keeping quality, the bacterial quality also improves, and the keeping quality of shelf life also goes up. So, anyway, we are finding innovative ways, some systems that are indigenous systems that we have already evolved, some cooling system in the production centers. Then I think, we also, Indian dairy industry, I think it's the right time that we need to, start integrating it with the global markets. Trading and marketing, certainly. I think we worked very hard on this, and we submitted the report, and we are still working with many organizations. Investment. Now, another thing is the foreign firms are also investing in India. But, somehow I will like to say that why can't Indian firms invest abroad? I think it is the right time when the Amul can also go and invest in Britain, America, and all other places. Once the FTA strategy, let's meet them at their own place, because the kind of the technical expertise and the professional efficiency you have got, it is matchless. And I'll bet you, Dr. Sodhi Saab, your European and the American counterparts absolutely cannot beat you. I told it at many times. You know it well. Knowledge sharing and technology transfer. Anyway, they cannot only transfer the technology, even we have the indigenous technology that we can transfer. And Indian indigenous technology can be transferred. Forget about Europe, but we can transfer this whole technology to all of the CIS countries, Latin American countries, Southeast Asia, which absolutely don't consume milk, whole of Africa and Middle East. And if you go to the Middle East and even Africa, North Africa, it is only the Indians who are working. All dairies, the high level work, low level work is done by the low level labor from Africa. So the efficiency is absolutely no problem in India in terms of efficiency. and therefore it is time to introspect for the dairy industry. We have to write up the value chain. Again, more value-added product. I am very sure that except for the few companies, they are not doing it. And value-added product to brand. In cooperative sector, at least I don't find any other brand other than the Amul brand. Very few brands. If you say Nandini, some Saras, but I think they are not only local, they are more than regional. This is the big problem. When you go to the international market and you see the brand, you see some, you go to Middle East, you find Milma se ghee aa gaya. Bhai kyun aaya? Some of the person from Kerala is the general manager in this supermarket. Kabhi pata chala Nandini ka ghee aa gaya hai, Avin ka aa gaya Singapore mein. So that is what we call as, the personal acquaintances. But, hardly an effort to market professionally the product in the international market. This is one. And regional brand is no doubt about it that we are having. So I think more valued product, national, international, global. And we need to develop a few national brands on the pattern of the Amul. I'm sure that Amul will help them, or Amul is a big umbrella brand. Amul is such a big brand that others will find it difficult to enter into. The largest milk producing state, Uttar Pradesh, processes only less than 3% of the milk under the cooperative sector. So I'm not for or against cooperative, but this also requires introspection, how these large areas could be brought into. And I'm very sure that the cooperatives from Gujarat are helping, like Banaskantha and other dairies, to have that and increased emphasis. Now for the customer, especially the urban customer, high-end income customer, they go for a value differentiation, value-added product, and again, so those I think we need to give a tough time to the. You have to focus on competition. This I've already talked of. Proficiency, supply chain, and marketing. Everywhere you need the absolutely efficacy. And I tell you, unless the cooperative system does not have it, I think we should not forget the example of Tamil Nadu, wherein the cooperative sector has absolutely been reduced, and the bigger share has been taken by the private sector. And I'm very sure that unless the cooperative sector takes the necessary steps, it may happen in other states as well. And probably the time has come now, which I think the government of India feels that the cooperative and private sector should work together. I have no problem in that. And then we need to go with the innovation across the value chain. We need to invest in R&D, develop new products, and we have to plan the obsolescence of the product. You make your own product obsolete and pay way for the new products. Abhi aap dekhiye, Indian products are to be marketed. You go to any of the international market, but these products are basically consumed by the locals, say paneer. But if you see it is not like Chinese. For Chinese, even in our home, the children says, or you go for that, the Maggi noodle and all Chinese food we serve in the dinner restaurant. But I'm not very sure that how many Indian foods are done. Forget about the food, but we are worried only about the dairy products. And so all these things, they are extremely liked by the people who ever came to India, and they say that lassi is 100 times better than any cultured milk that you get in any part of Europe and America. Absolutely not. Indian lassi is much better than a cultured milk or yogurt you get. Only thing is we need to the big companies like Amul and they need to spend more money in the international market, and we should popularize that. If they don't allow our product to come, go and you can invest there and have a FDI there, Indian investment abroad. देखो ये मैं सोधी साहब की बड़ी तारीफ करूंगा. जब ये आया कोविड आया तो इन्होंने पंचामृत लॉन्च किया. It was an instant success. आप देखिए मंदिर के अंदर प्रसाद देना, this is an innovation no American and European will understand. And how you make it, उसको बताओगे कि हम हनी में घी और शुगर डालते हैं तो we will get mad. But I think we have done it, and I think Dr. Sodhi will give you the data that the grand success story that you had. Another success story. If customer think, I am not sure of the reality कि अगर हल्दी खाओगे तो आप ठीक हो जाओगे, तो आपने हल्दी का दूध लॉन्च किया. आपने हल्दी का किया, उसने कहा हम तो हम आपका प्लस च्यवनप्राश डाल देते हैं. च्यवनप्राश के साथ हम आपको आइसक्रीम देते हैं, आप ठीक हो जाओगे। और आपने ही नहीं किया, ओमान की जो सरकारी मजून डेयरी है, आपके बाद उन्होंने भी जो है ना टर्मरिक का दूध लॉन्च कर दिया। नाउ ओमान इज अ वेरी great place to learn from. Oman was basically dependent on milk. All Middle East countries was. Now the government of Oman has, absolutely invested a lot of money in a dairy plant within Oman. I'm very sure that some of you will be in Oman. और बहुत सारे गुजराती वहाँ पे हैं, ओमान में हैं. Gujarati and basically a lot of Malayalis are there in Oman. All Indians, most Indians. You see, so you popularize Indian products across, and when you popularize our product, वो जब इंडिया में आएंगे तो कहेंगे यार असली टर्मरिक तो इंडिया में मिलता है, ओमान में नहीं मिलता. This is the innovation that we need to do, and because if you cannot compete on the price of the raw material, आप देखिए UAE के अंदर, UAE does not produce milk, absolutely not. कुछ अब उन्होंने डेयरी प्लांट वगैरह बनाए हैं. Anyway, they have gone for even the camel milk. Camel milk in UAE they sell at 4 times the price that the cow milk, 4 to 6 times at the price, because they are marketing the benefit of that. मुझको बताया कि भाई if you take the camel milk, lactose intolerance का फर्क नहीं पड़ता इससे. Then they say even the diabetics can take this milk. So I think a lot of things are being associated with that. So this is I think we need to do. अभी आप देखिए, देखो, this is in Holland. They have got a farm in the so innovation is the key. Voluntary milking system and the rotary milking machine. I am very sure. लेकिन अभी ये कि whether this is beneficial for us ना, हमारे यहाँ तो 5,000 रुपए का 3,000 रुपए का एक मजदूरी सब काम कर देता है. और ये आपकी अल्फा लेवल की कौन सी कंपनी हो, डी लेवल, they sells the robotic milking machines in $1.5 crore rupees. 1.5 करोड़ 1.25 करोड़ की वो बेचते हैं. तो वो हमको चाहिए कि नहीं चाहिए वो देखिए. But somehow I think the automation need to come, and it could be selected again, like the customer is selected. We may have a selected production facilities in India. देखिए, they are using drones for the cow grazing, and now with the new drone policy in India being in place, and you will see the drone revolution unfolding in India, especially for fodder management. अच्छा, the cattle is also integrated. जैसे cattle के अंदर मुझे पता है कि हम लोग भी कुछ लगा रहे हैं अब धीरे धीरे. We are also using the sensor technology in that, so we can use these things selectively. Fodder plantation. The biggest problem that you are going to face in time to come is fodder, shortage of fodder. To feed so much of the cow, you need to be very scientific in fodder, and fodder plantation is the future. In case India can manage its fodder availability for the growing population of the cattle and buffalo also, which is pre-essential for milk production. I think it is extremely important. Now I think India, we have already started using the drones, for our agriculture, especially for pesticide, insecticide, and even the very soon you will see even for the monitoring of the crops and all that. So I think this, and I'm sure that there is a lot of opportunities. That India, the problem is we have got in Ministry of Agriculture, we have got several departments. अब डेयरी की मिनिस्ट्री अलग हो गई है, एग्रीकल्चर की अलग है, कोऑपरेटिव की अलग है. Within a ministry there are many things. In agriculture ministry, agriculture university अलग है, veterinary university अलग है, fisheries university is different, horticulture university is different. और in our Karnataka we have got a separate lemon development board. नींबू समझते हैं हम, तो हर चीज का हमने अलग अलग कर दिया. And so many things, I'm not very sure that what is the kind of the coordination between all. If there is less coordination among multiple organizations than we create, then I think we should not repeat the situation what we are facing in case of a wheat, in case of a rice, and in case of the oil seed. This kind of situation should not arrive. And I think we need to work additionally. Now incidentally, I shifted to Bangalore. We run a separate course on food processing management. We have a separate course on agro and processed food exports, and plantation is our absolutely the era. We'll be happy to cooperate with with anyone in the dairy industry, and you are always welcome. With this, I think thank you so much, Prajapati Saab and Sodhi Saab, for giving me this opportunity. Looking forward to see you in person when we meet.
Thank you so much, Professor Joshi. You very well touched upon all the points relevant to the dairy industry and our trade. Before we take up some questions, we'll now listen to Dr. R.S. Sodhi. And then based on the time left, we'll also take few comments from the other persons who are present on the Zoom link. So Dr. R.S. Sodhi, as all of you know, is a managing director of Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, the world famous brand Amul. And he has some comments given on the chat box also, and probably he will also address some of the points raised by Professor Joshi also in this talk. So without wasting much time, I hand over the mic to Dr. Sodhi, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. J.B. Prajapati. And I am also thankful to Ms. Caroline, Director General, IDF. I believe she has to leave for some other urgent meeting. And it was extremely a delight to hear Dr. R.M. Joshi's very, very detailed presentation with lot of data showing us for all of our dairy industry, lot of opportunities, challenges, and I think he has given a lot of points to think and digest, which all of us may not digest. And definitely he has appreciated Amul a lot. I am thankful to him. But he has also given a lot of tasks also. So that is also a challenge. I think because time, I know we may have crossed some time, so I'll be very brief. Let me speak few facts which we all know. I'll just briefly say. In the world, milk is like India is the biggest crop, and milk industry is now more than $600 billion, and around 1 billion people are dependent on this milk, and one side of the supply chain, and around 6.5 billion people on the other side of the supply chain. So you can say all over the world it is production by masses, consumption by masses, and say. And we know, everybody knows the fact India is world largest producer, 21% or 22% today, but another 10 years, but 2033 will be around 31 or 32%. So no doubt, what India performs, that will going to impact the world growth. Today we know world is growing at a rate of 1.8%. India's growth is 6%. So whatever world is growing, more than 50% is contributed by the India. And next 10 years, if whatever 230 million metric ton will be added in the world milk production, another 120 million metric ton will be added by the India only. So that is the importance of the in dairy sector. And we know till mid-70s, what was our position? Dr. R.M. Joshi showed the graph, less than half of USA and less than 1/8 of, less than 1/3 of USA and 1/3 of Europe. And today we have the #1 producer, not only #1, the rate which we are growing is also tremendously good. So my dear all the fellow panelists and the audience, can you think why we have reached to this position? Why a whole world is envy? Why a whole world wants to come to India through various channels? Why all the developing country wants to copy India? Why the world's biggest, I say biggest dairy companies could not succeed in India what they have done in the world? Reason, and this reason has been not given by me. One of the CEO of the world biggest dairy company who came to India, they struggled for 7 years and they wound up. And this reason has been supported by a number of world dairy CEOs whom I meet. And they say, we cannot match the supply chain efficiency of Indian dairy companies. When I say Indian dairy company, means cooperative and private. And what is that supply chain efficiency? If we sell any product at 100 rupees. In case of Amul, a milk 80 to 85 goes to the farmer, or maximum average India is 70 rupees. Nowhere in India that supply chain efficiency is there. Only farmers get 1/3. And this is the reason. You see, any industry will grow domestically or internationally. In case of agriculture, if two main stakeholders are happy and feel win-win. What are those main two stakeholders in any food supply chain? One side grower, other side consumer. And it is India where farmers get the maximum and consumer pay the minimum. You see, nowhere in the world consumer is buying milk at the price which India get, around 50 rupees a liter. And nowhere in the world farmers get 80% or 70%. And today what farmers get is 30 to 40 rupees a liter of cow. So my question is, if we are growing, our supply chain is envied by all over the world. We are world's largest producer. We are world's fastest growing market. Why should we tinker with our dairy development policies, which we have been following for last more than 50 years? That self-sufficiency, taking care of farmers' interest and the consumer most, not the multinational or the big corporate. And I think the other reasons for success for the dairy industry is the very, very competitive environment. Cooperatives may be market leader in most major states, but let me tell you, it's the balance between cooperative and private is bringing efficiency. And I think for a healthy growth of any industry, competition is necessary and everybody should welcome it. Besides the technology which Dr. IRMA Joshi mentioned, right from day when Amul started in 50s, whether developing buffalo milk technology or the milk testing technology at the village level, thousands of that, or best of the dairy machineries importing or then developing in India through IDMC and other Indian dairy company, which first big dairy company to start production in India. Technology wise, today if you see, we are no far away from any world biggest dairy company. You walk into any dairy company in Europe and you walk into Amul Dairy or Mother Dairy, you'll find they are much superior in use of technology than these. Because I recently went to a few dairies in the North America. I was surprised to see the technology available there and with us. The type of automation we have done, the type of minimum manpower we are using. And no doubt other reason for success is by farmers organization giving emphasis on marketing or brand building or distribution. That is the reason for it. Because most of the countries, farmers organizations are limiting themselves only to the procurement, a little bit of processing of commodities, not to value-added product marketing. That is the reason for success and the efficiency of supply chain. And no doubt, other reason it can be the, very fortunately, Indian dairy industry has got very good professionals, be it the dairy technologists or in the veterinary side, as compared to other very selfless, dedicated professionals as compared to other food supply chain. Coming to the opportunities, we know dairy sector is growing, fastest growing. Our market is 1.38 billion people, which will be 1.65 billion people by 2050, with more money, more disposable income to invest, to spend on dairy, more money to spend on protein and fat-rich products, more money to spend on tasty, nutritious, branded, affordable food brands. So all these factors are very, very positive for Indian dairy sector. And that is the reason that our dairy industry is growing at the rate of maybe production 6%, but branded consumer product market is growing at the rate of more than 12%. And today, organized dairy industry, which is getting around 11 to 12 crore liters of milk per day, it is estimated that it will increase to 30 crore liters in 10 years. And it will be inviting investment of around 1 lakh crore only in dairy processing, leave aside other supply chain. And that is the opportunity for all the industry people to invest in dairy testing or the processing or the supply chain. Besides that, dairy industry is going to give the biggest job giver. 1 lakh liters coming to organized sector gives 6,000 jobs, 5,000 in villages and 1,000 in urban. So 1.2 crore jobs will be created in the dairy sector in the organized way, the way we are growing. And that way of growth cannot be stopped, cannot be tinkered, cannot be changed, because it is everything is going very well. Other opportunities, I think, is in case of feeding and breeding, which I think a lot of experts are there. Now, what are the challenges? I'm thankful to Dr. R.M. Joshi. He has already touched many. So I will not repeat those, but I'll give few of the comments. One area is the productivity. See, productivity, we know our input model is low input, low output. We fed to the animal what is left over after human consumption. Today, bhusa is available at 10 rupees a kg in Gujarat. I believe in UP it is 11 to 12 rupees. So you have to understand, even bhusa we cannot feed to our animals. So you have to see what way we can increase the productivity of animal by having these resources, minimum feed resources. We cannot afford imports. We cannot ignore, instead of growing wheat or paddy or pulses or other foods, we start growing fodder. Fodder will be grown only in between as a crop. And then, but whatever resources we have to be, how to improve the productivity of animal by better feeding and better breeding. Lot of breeding, I know, lot of breeding innovations are going all over India. At Amul, we have done number of improvement. I see Amit Vyas is there, and he has got tremendously good job in digitalization of breeding practices, right from sex semen, mobile sex semen, IVF, because one cow cannot produce more than one calf, even with the sex semen. But if you go for IVF, you can 40 to 50 calves. So why not go for that? Within our limited constraint and resources, how to give better. Then next is how to attract next generation of farmers to the dairy farming. And we are literally seeing what is happening all over the world, especially after this pandemic and Ukraine war. Food all over world has increased tremendously. Why? Because next generation of farmers after education don't want to do farming. So is the case in India. So how to ensure the next generation of farmers, after getting education, after getting degrees, they stay back in the village and go for dairy farming. That is only possible if we make dairy farming very contemporary, very cool, startup, but commercially viable. And commercially viable because today farmer with 2 or 3 cows, he never calculates his expenditure income. But if a young entrepreneur goes for it, he'll see what is the kharcha, what is the income, end of the day, what is the earning. But today I can say in Gujarat, any dairy entrepreneur with 30, 40 cows or buffalo can earn 1 lakh to 1.2 lakh sitting in the village. And you can get loan for starting that. So that is the opportunity in dairy farming, which need to be educated to the today's young generation, that instead of coming to the cities are working as a delivery boy or delivering food at home with 20, 30, or 10 to 15,000 income, or becoming salesman for 15,000, it's better to stay in the village, have 10 cows and animal, earn 50,000 rupees, and also your future is secured because you're in a business of food, which is not going to get any obsolescence. Next, Dr. Joshi has mentioned about threats from the fake product. Because what happens, कोई चीज चल जाती है ना, तो सब लोग उसको कॉपी करते हैं. Same is in case of dairy industry. Dairy industry is on the boom, growing very well. So हर इंडस्ट्री वाले को होता है कि इसका शॉर्ट टर्म में फायदा. आई एम सेइंग शॉर्ट टर्म बिकॉज ये शॉर्ट टर्म ही है. So you make fake products similar to product which is selling. Try to fool consumer. चांदी के ऊपर सोने का रंग चढ़ा दो, बोलो ये तो सोना मैं बेच रहा हूं, कब तक चलेगा? And the consumer is going to, then your cheating will be caught. So ultimately देखिए, बाकी चीजें डॉक्टर जोशी ने आपको मेंशन कर दी. I will not repeat those, but let me tell you, this so-called plant-based product which are factorily manufactured using chemicals. आप उनसे एक क्वेश्चन पूछ लीजिए, आप प्लांट बेस्ड बोलते हो, इसमें प्लांट बेस्ड का कंटेंट तो बताओ. हमारा दूध में 100% मिल्क होता है, सोया में ओनली 6% इज प्लांट बेस्ड, बाकी सब दूसरी चीज है. नेम इज प्लांट बेस्ड, नॉट प्लांट बेस्ड. आप सोया खाओ ना, आलमंड खाओ, है ओट्स खाओ, दैट इज प्लांट बेस्ड. बट नॉट दोस बेवरेजेस व्हिच आर मेड by using chemical, artificial vitamins, artificial fortification, lot of preservatives, synthetic colors, and then synthetic flavors. Second is, एक मुझे बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग लोग बोलते हैं कि कोई जानवर दूध नहीं पीता तो आदमी दूध क्यों पिए. So one day I told my wife कि मैं आज किसी कॉन्फ्रेंस में गया था, एक से कहती है हमारे घर तो हमारा डॉग भी दूध पीता है, हमारी एक कैट है वो भी दूध पीती है, और हम बाहर कुछ भी कभी रख देते हैं तो चूहे भी आके दूध पी लेते हैं. It is the opportunity. These poor guys don't have milk. Otherwise, everybody prefer. आप किसी भी जानवर के आगे दूध डाल दीजिए, कोई मना नहीं करेगा, उसको अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं मिलती. तीसरा वो एक और बताया जाता है कि nutritionally better. I think you all are expert. Nutritionally, none of these so-called fake chemical products are even 1/3 or 1/4 of milk. चाहे वो प्रोटीन में हो, चाहे नेचुरल विटामिन्स में हो, चाहे essential फैट में हो, किसी में नहीं है. And the cost of per unit of nutrition क्या है देखिए, 3 times more, 4 times same nutrition. If you can get natural way in a very, very tasty, why should you pay 3 to 4 times more for the same quantity of nutrition? And सबसे important चीज जो होती है food में, which I think on which they will fail always, and nobody is going to compromise, is the taste. Natural product का जो taste होता है, synthetic product, artificial का वो taste कभी नहीं मिलेगा. कंज्यूमर एक दो बार मेडिसिन सोच के या परसेप्शन खा लेगा, अल्टीमेटली इज गोइंग टू शिफ्ट टू द नेचुरल. नोबडी कैन मैच एनी ऑफ डेयरी प्रोडक्ट टेस्ट विद एनी ऑफ दीज सिंथेटिक प्रोडक्ट्स. आप कोई भी खा के देख लीजिए, कोई मैच नहीं करेगा. सो दीज आर द थिंग. नाउ कमिंग टू द लास्ट challenge which Dr. IRMA Joshi has very, very in detail mentioned, and let me tell you why we should not get global integration and why we do not have global integration. What is the harm and what is the thing? देखिए, today Amul is India's biggest dairy company. Okay, we are growing. Okay, India is world's largest market and fastest growing market. You tell me if any business entrepreneur, if you have to invest, suppose 100 crore rupees. Where you will invest? When you know only 20% market or 1/3 market is organized, where you will invest? Where opportunities are more, where growth opportunities are more, and where raw material is there. So that is India. That is why all the foreign companies want to come to India and invest. It is other thing, they are not able to compete with Indian dairy companies. Second thing is, when people come to us, all these dairy rich companies, they say, please allow us export to dairy products, this, that, WTO, they give a lot of reasoning. We said there is no ban on import of dairy products from any of the dairy countries. It is other way around. These countries who come to us say, we say already India allows imports cheese from Europe, from UK, from Canada. Past we imported from USA. India allows everybody. But none of these countries allow. आपको मालूम है वर्ल्ड में जो पहले 10 डेयरी इंपोर्टिंग countries don't allow from India non-tariff. Europe, we have imported last 50 years lakhs of crore of goods from Europe, but they have not allowed single liter or single kg of dairy products to be exported to Europe. So when they come to us, we say, let us go step by step. You want India should open up? We are already open. Plus, you please open up first. Please allow Indian dairy products to come in your country at full duty. We don't want FTA. None of these countries who are come to India, देखिए, चाहे यूरोप हो, चाहे यूएसए हो, चाहे न्यूजीलैंड हो, चाहे ऑस्ट्रेलिया हो, none of these countries allow dairy products under FTA. और इंडिया तो सबसे बड़ी है, तो why should we allow? And they don't allow. Just to get few jobs in IT, just to get few thousand crore rupees of export in textile, or do you get some visas? Why? So I think second is कि आप देख रहे हैं कि पूरे वर्ल्ड में डेयरी में कितना इन्फ्लेशन हुआ है. पूरे वर्ल्ड में इन्फ्लेशन डेयरी में 20 से 30-40% हो गया है, where they were dependent on imports. Whereas India, in 2 years, dairy inflation is minimal in the world, 8 to 9% in 2 years. And that is the reason there is a tremendous demand. And I think we have got the reason. I'm thankful to Dr. R.N. Joshi mentioned what was the situation in edible oil. We were self-sufficient in 90s. And that time government decided under some pressure, under some lure, कि 0 ड्यूटी पे या 5% ड्यूटी पे एडिबल ऑयल लॉ किया, palm oil का, sunflower का, and what is the situation today? 70% dependent. So today, if you allow dairy under FTA, our situation will be what we have got in edible oil after 20-30 years. We have done as analysis, even 5% of dairy imports from New Zealand, what they export out of the world, will take care of 28% of organized commodity production in India. That is the impact. What has happened to the China? Some wise men gave them the advice that you should enter into FTA with New Zealand. And 2007-8, they had gone into FTA with New Zealand. If you see previous 7 years growth, China's milk production was growing at the rate of 20 to 22% CAGR. You know what happened after 2007-8? Bilkul blank. Bilkul straight. They stopped growing in milk production. Instead, their imports started rising like this. And today, China has become totally dependent on imports of dairy products. So I think we have to learn the lessons from our mistakes. We have to learn lessons from the other countries. We have to understand in dairy in India, it's a livelihood, not a business. And dairy is a major source of livelihood for the rural India, for the Bharat, and it is the source where you can really think increasing in income. And dairy is a sector where you can retain the next generation of farmers in the villages. And dairy is the one industry we can really, at least globally, if you want to export, dairy is one sector because gradually we are becoming competitive. Because our farmers are happy, our consumers are happy. Consumers are getting safe, nutritious, tasty food at affordable price. Farmers getting best price for milk. Government is happy. They are not to spend lakhs of crores rupees on imports of dairy products, which they are spending now on edible oil and fertilizer. So you tell me who is unhappy in dairy industry? Only those countries who have got surplus, who have got. So why should we worry about the unhappiness of the foreigners than our own people? We have to take care of our own farmers, own consumer, policymakers, and the professionals. So I think we are lucky, and I congratulate to all the dairy professionals. What they have done today is a wonderful job. Don't carry away with these new things, and especially one word, sustainability. Sorry, I forgot to tell. You see, this sustainability, what has been hijacked by a lot of Western interest. Of sustainability, I'll give you in one line. Recently, I went for my board meeting to Vancouver, and they took us to some organic dairy farmer. He had around 200 cows. So as soon as I alighted from my car, that farmer called, "Oh, hello, Mr. Sodhi, how are you?" I said, "Who is this guy?" He said, "You remember, we met in 2014 at Quebec in some corporate alliance meeting, and you gave a lecture. And one line which you said, he said, I have repeated 1,000 times." I said, "Sorry, I don't remember." And actually speaking, when he told me, I had also forgotten. You know what he said? He said, sustainability starts when stomach is full. ये जो environmental की sustainability है ना, a farmer will think, talk, do only when his stomach is full. When country is self-sufficient food, then sustainability is very good. And I can tell you, we are doing 100 ways to reduce carbon and how to make sustainable environment. There are a number of things we are doing. But that is necessary, but not at the cost of livelihood. And that is why I think we have to take care of Western interest, because they could not enter India. Now they are using this word of sustainability. India में दूध का production sustainable नहीं है, environment. So I think with these words, I'd like to thank the VKCoE for giving this opportunity, Dr. JB Prithati, Dr. RM Joshi ji, and all the listeners. अगर मैंने ज़्यादा time ले लिया हो, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And it is very much important. And you are the session chair, and it is your right to take your own time. And all the points have been very well emphasized, and we all agree to that. And we are always open to taking all the points into mind, but innovations and this technology and other things, we are not lagging behind anybody. And we don't have much time for discussion, but I think we can give 2-3 minutes to Amit Vyas, the Managing Director of Amul Dairy, just to highlight that see, we had a visit of Dr. Anakin Ganguly recently. He's a DG of IRMA, and after seeing Amul, he found that nowhere in the world I have seen such a plant which is so advanced, even the chocolate plant. He was comparing with Lind and other things which he has seen. So that is the achievement which we have made. So Amit ji, very briefly, please, your comments.
So thank you very much, Professor Prajapati sir or Rakesh sir and Sodhi sir and the entire team. See, sir, when we talk of, I was hearing all the details, and let me tell you the way we are progressing. And I think in last couple of days we have people from across the globe, from New Zealand, from US, and yesterday the Army Chief, ex-Army Chief, Mr. Malik was also there. And what they were talking, including Dr. Ganguly, is that we have done a lot in terms of technological advancement at the field level. Obviously, at the plant level, we were always ahead. And at the market level also, the same technology which is at the field level, right from the talking about the Fitbit of the animal to the, the disease testing facilities and the dashboard that we have created. One of them, in fact, told the other day from US, and this who says that who says India is a developing country. India is already a developed country. The kind of technology and the kind of data, even the people from Israel, they have visited and they are now talking about that the technology that we have evolved in terms of digitalization and knowing what is happening across the globe. We are the first people in the world to tell that today I can tell you how many cow or how many calf, male and female, have been born. In human, we still cannot say कि आज कितने बच्चे पैदा हुए हैं. But we can tell in our Milstead area that how many male cows, how many female cows, how many died, how many been sold, how many living, everything on the entire digital platform. So yes, but still lot needs to be done. Right now we are working on a technology where can we check the protozoal diseases at the point of the farmer doorstep, and for which now we have got a microscope that can be installed at the camera, which can be installed at the back of the mobile, and you can just take the blood. Doctor can take the blood, take the spear, make the spear about it, and just put this, and you will come to know based on the colonies whether it is a pyrexia or it is a thylaria or babesia, whatever disease is possible. And they were surprised that this cannot be done even in human, but you are thinking of doing at the farmer's doorstep, and that too at a very economical cost. Again, the challenge is that okay, we can think very big, we can bring in the technologies, but it has to be affordable, it has to be cost effective, it has to be, the farmer can very easily accessible and at a very reasonable cost. So we have been developing with a lot of new things and innovations that we are doing with the IITs and also with the good companies to bring down the cost. So certainly the future is going to be the digitalization at the field level, and also at, as Sodhi Sahab also said, the sustainability part. We have been doing a great thing like rainwater harvesting across the organizations, across the plant, and maybe in next 4 or 5 years we will be water surplus. You talk of biogas, we are still working on a concept where how we can ensure the people bringing milk can bring biogas at the society level. So all those things are there, still challenges are there, but we are moving in the right direction, and obviously we are number one and will remain number one in the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amit ji, for a quick comment. We don't have much time, but I see a big group from Gaya Dairy sitting in the hall, and also from the Department of Animal Husbandry, we have got Dr. Nanda and Dr. Murli. Anybody from Gaya would like to say a few words? Yes, sir, quickly.
थैंक यू सर। हम लोग बहुत छोटा डेयरी है यहाँ पे। हमारे चैलेंजेस जो है प्रोक्योरमेंट कॉस्ट हम लोगों का बहुत ज्यादा है, क्योंकि आनंद पैटर्न पे हम लोग चलते हैं तो किसी सोसाइटी का अगर बहुत कम दूध भी है तो उसको भी हम लोग लेते हैं, तो उससे हमारा प्रॉफिट जो है कम होता है। दूसरा चैलेंज हमारा जो है जिस समय लगन का सीजन रहता है, मैरिज सीजन रहता है या फेस्टिवल के समय डिमांड बढ़ता है, तो जो इस साल का सिनेरियो रहा कि कमोडिटी का प्राइस बहुत हाई गया, तो उस समय हम लोग लॉस में जाते हैं। लेकिन फिर भी जो भारत सरकार या हमारी राज्य सरकार की योजना है कि जो लोकल ब्रीड का यहाँ पे नस्ल है कि नस्ल सुधार करें, उस कार्यक्रम को हम लोग आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं। धीरे धीरे हम लोग का नस्ल सुधार उसमें हो रहा है और उम्मीद करते हैं कि धीरे धीरे जो हमारा पर जो ये प्रोडक्शन पर एनिमल जो वो इंक्रीज होगा, उससे किसान का भी प्रॉफिट बढ़ेगा और हम लोगों का डेली के जो चैलेंजेस हैं, जो प्रोक्योरमेंट कॉस्ट वगैरह बढ़ रहा है, उसको हम लोग कुछ सालों में जो है विद इन लिमिट ले आएंगे।
थैंक यू वेरी मच। आप
थोड़ा सा मैं अपना व्यूज देना चाहूंगा। मेरा नाम आर.के. सिंह है। मैं यहाँ प्रोक्योरमेंट इंचार्ज हूँ ज़ैड एरिया में। अभी सोडी साहब का और जोशी साहब का बहुत ही अच्छा, बहुत ही लर्निंग एस्पेक्ट्स को हम लोगों ने सुना, समझा और ये जाना कि वर्ल्ड लेवल पर और हमारे देश में जो भी मिल्क का अपॉर्चुनिटीज और चैलेंजेस है, इसके बारे में बहुत बहुत पहले तो धन्यवाद देता हूँ। एक चीज जो हम लोग बार बार बिजनेस कर रहे हैं, जो आनंद पैटर्न है, मैंने देखा जो आज सरकार पर जोर दे रही है, आत्मनिर्भर भारत, सहकारिता से समृद्धि, एक मंत्रालय भी अलग बन गया है। और दूसरा WHO का जब हेल्थ का डेफिनेशन पढ़ते हैं, गूगल में आप देख लीजिए कि हेल्थ का दिया, इट इज द स्टेट ऑफ कंप्लीट फिजिकल, मेंटल एंड सोशल वेलबींग, इज नॉट मेयरली एब्सेंस ऑफ डिजीज। तो हमको लगता है कि डिजीज जब होता है, जब ट्रीटमेंट पर इस पर सबका जोर होता है पूरे वर्ल्ड में, लेकिन सोशल, मेंटल और सोशल बीइंग का यदि सबसे अच्छा फोरम है वो आनंद पैटर्न कोऑपरेटिव। और रही बात चैलेंजेस का, जो बिजनेस का एस्पेक्ट के पॉइंट ऑफ से बटर का क्या होगा, SMP का क्या होगा, लेकिन जो एक दो गाय लेके हमारे लिए वो जरूरी नहीं है। हमारे लिए है कि हमारे जो फार्मर्स हैं वो कितना, उसको लाइवलीहुड का जो प्रॉब्लम है वो कैसे सॉल्व हो। वर्ल्ड में तो सबका अपना सिचुएशन डिफरेंट है। वो मार्केट के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से इंडिया पर हमेशा, इसको आपने बताया, नो टैरिफ बैरियर की बात है। प्लांट बेस्ड जो है प्रोडक्ट्स, वो मिल्क को सब्स्टिट्यूट करना चाहता है, उसका अपना इंटरेस्ट है। बट हमारा जो है, जो सोडी साहब ने कहा, लाइवलीहुड इज द मेजर थिंग। और हमारे फार्मर्स, और ये भी इसमें ब्यूटी है, सप्लाई चेन का एफिशिएंसी उन्होंने बताया ही। दूसरा ब्यूटी क्या है, कंज्यूमर्स को ज्यादा एफोर्ड नहीं करना पड़ता है। प्रोड्यूसर 70 to 80% जो उनका प्रोडक्शन है उसका वो कीमत लेता है। ये बात दूसरी है कि प्राइस का क्या हो रहा है।
Yes, sir. Thank you, Singh sir. You have well said and well appreciated, and where proved Amul model is there, and we are definitely giving maximum benefit to the producers, and also at the same time consumers are happy. हमारे पास अभी ज्यादा टाइम नहीं है सर, इसलिए मैं आई एम स्टॉपिंग यू हियर। एंड द लास्ट वन, इफ एनी ऑफिशियल फॉर द गवर्नमेंट वुड लाइक टू से फ्यू वर्ड्स, नंदा साहब या डॉक्टर मुरली, जो भी है। I think they are actually have exceeded the time by 17 minutes, and hence Dr. Joshi, I will not be able to take the questions, but it was a very interesting session, and it showed that how much we are concerned about that, and we well accept your suggestion about generic promotion of milk. जैसे अंडे का होता है, ऐसे दूध का भी करना पड़ेगा, and we are also taking appropriate actions, but rather than in a defensive mode, we have to play our role, because consumer have a choice. जैसे सोधी सर ने बनाया वो ठीक है, अगर अट्रैक्ट होकर खाता पीता है तो पता चलेगा, but how long he can cheat. And it's not simply a plant based. Actually the consumers are confused rather than really educated. So from government of India point of view, FSSAI के अंदर भी हम बैठे, we had made some regulations for analogs, and we are also trying to educate the consumers, maybe so that they can read the labels, they can read the ingredients, and then decide that what is to be eaten and what is really natural and what is simply called as natural. So things are developing, and it is a moral duty of all of us who are connected to dairy profession to take care of our industry, not only for money, but for the livelihood of millions of farmers who are connected to us. So backward integration is very, very important, and we are playing a very important role globally. And probably we'll have many more points to discuss during the World Dairy Summit, which will be there in September. And Verghese Kurien Center of Excellence, which is being operated from IRMA, is also interested to collaborate with many of the unions. We have got few suggestions. Similarly, I can suggest to Goa Union also, if they are interested to have some problematic findings or research to be taken, we are here to help. And with this, I thank all of you, Dr. Joshi, Dr. Sodhi, in absentia, Caroline, we has to leave for some other meeting, and many of the officials sitting from Anand, Dr. Badania, Dr. Amit Vyas, Paksha, Dr. Janak Upadhyay, Professor Uday Shankar Shah, I see Dr. Rajiv Kesha, Nitin Thakre, and other officials, and all those who are watching us live on YouTube. Thank you all for participation here, and wish you all once again a very, very happy World Milk Day, and wish you a very happy and healthy your health maintained by consumption of the best natural food on